Welcome to lesson number 7 from 5-Minute Theory. I'm going to start going a little bit faster and not spending so much time so we actually can do it in 5 minutes. We'll see. First thing you do, if you're smart, you write your name at the top of the page. All right, on this lesson, we're going to learn about whole notes. A whole note looks like a donut. It's a note head. It's still a note head. It's just a circle, but it's not filled in and it doesn't have a stem. A whole note gets 4 counts in quarter time. It's almost like how many quarters are in a dollar? 4 quarter notes in a dollar. There are 4 quarter notes in a whole note. Now, a whole rest is a little box, or whatever you want to call it, a little black line that holds on to the 4th line of the staff. Okay? It can be in different places, but basically it attaches to a staff line. All right, let's draw some whole notes on the staff. This time you don't have to worry about stem direction, but you still need to be able to find the notes on the staff. So every good boy. Now whole notes, you really need to make sure that you're dissecting the line so you're not getting all big on your B like this, okay? We want to make sure that it's nice and neat. All right, A. Make sure it fits inside the space. FAC. In the space. Don't go beyond and include some of those lines. E. You could do either one. I'm going to do the bottom. F. You could do either one. I'll do the top. D. Okay, so now we know what whole notes are. A whole note or rest receives 4 counts when beating time to the quarter note. So there are 4 quarter notes in a whole note. So I can think of quarter notes just counting 1, 2, 3, 4. A whole note, 1, 2, 3, 4. I like to draw dashes because when I'm playing a whole note, if I was a wind player on a wind instrument like flute or clarinet, I would hold that note ta for 4 full counts. On percussion, if it's a snare drum, I'm hitting a note. That could be a quarter note. That could be a whole note. Doesn't really matter. We have other ways of extending or elongating notes, sustaining notes, which involve rolls, but we'll get to all of that stuff later. So a whole rest, I like to put it above 1, 2, 3, 4, and I like to use dashes instead of the numbers. Either way, the dashes to me just means that I'm going to sustain those notes. Music, note values is kind of like doing math. If I have a quarter note and a whole note, how many counts would that be? Quarter notes receive 1 beat, whole notes receive 4 beats, so those 2 notes together would be 5. All right, so line number 2 or exercise number 2, I'm just adding these note values together. So a quarter note is 1 plus 1 equals 2. Whole note, 4 plus 1 equals 5. Number 4, 4 plus 4 equals 8. You get the idea. Quarter rest is 1. Whole note is 4. Okay. Number 6 has 3 of them. 1, 2 plus 4, 6. Number 7 is 4 plus 4 plus 1 is 9. And number 8, 1 plus 4 plus 1 is 6. All right, turn over the page. Let's really quickly continue. This time we're going to talk about half notes. Half notes look like a whole note. They still have a hole in the dot. Okay, still a circle, but now we have a stem. So remember, a quarter note is a dot with a stem. A whole note is just the dot with a hole in it. Okay? Now a half rest sits on a line. Okay? So remember, a whole rest hangs onto a line. So we want to think of it like that. A half rest sits on a line. I always like to think of a half rest as a hat. That'll help you remember. Half rest sits on a line. Whole rest holds on to a line. All right, so let's trace a couple of half notes, this is simple. It's like drawing a whole note, but with a stem. Okay, now let's draw a couple of your own. Just find a spot that you want to draw it in. Remember, half rests have a stem, so the stem direction matters. A half rest, or a half note has a stem, I should say. A half rest is just a box. So we could just draw a couple of boxes. Remember that it sits on a line. All right, a half note receives 2 counts in quarter time. Quarter notes, 1. Whole notes, 4. Half notes, 2. Okay, it's like dollars. You know, if you have a quarter, how many quarters are in a dollar? 4 quarters in a whole dollar. Half dollars, how many half dollars are in a whole dollar? 2. So that's kind of how it works. So whenever we're counting half notes, I can put 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to play on that one. I'm going to hold for count 2. I play on that note. I hold for count 4. Okay? So this is pretty simple. We're going to count and clap that. What I like to do, because whole notes hold for 2 counts, I like to think of holding my hands together after I clap the beginning of the note and count the second count of whatever the whole note or half note is while I'm just keeping my hands together. So if I'm clapping quarter notes, I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4. If I'm clapping half notes, I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? So look at the first 2 measures of this line. Notice my first measure is clap on 1, rest on 2, clap on 3, rest on 4. In the second measure, instead of going out, because now I don't have rest, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, if I'm a wind player, those 2 measures are really different. Ta, rest, ta, rest, ta, ta. My beautiful singing voice. But as a percussionist, if I hit a note at the beginning of the note value, I just have to learn how to count those. All right. In measure number 3, I'm playing on count 1, 2. I rest on 3, 4. In the next measure, I play on 1, 2. I rest on 3, 4. So these 2 measures are really the same. Okay? I either rest or I half rest. So the only difference is instead of saying rest, 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 I do half rest. Okay? No big deal. In the last measure, 1, 2, since the half note starts on count 2, I sustain on count 3, and then I clap on beat 4. All right, are we ready? We're going to count and clap this entire line out loud. Not to a metronome, I'll just do it in tempo. I don't have a metronome with me. All right, here we go. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Half note. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 4. Now, you can do it with counts, and I like to always count out loud when I'm clapping and counting a line. Or you could say half note, half note. Just remember 1, 2, 3, 4. Half note, half note. That will help you remember that a half note receives 2 counts. All right, let's finish this off pretty quick. Music math, all I'm doing is adding these note values together. Remember, quarter notes 1, half notes 2, whole notes 4. So hopefully your math skills are up to par. Here we go, number 10. 1 plus 2 equals 3. 4 plus 2 equals 2 plus 2 equals 1 plus, what kind of note, what kind of rest is that? Remember, if it looks like a hat, then it's a half rest, that's 2. So that would be 3 counts. Number 14, 1, that's a half rest, 2, 3, and that's a whole rest. Remember, whole rest holds on to a line, a half rest sits on a line. or it looks like a hat. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Ooh. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. So adding up note values really works your math skills. It's pretty high level math skills, being able to add 1 plus 2 plus 4. That's pretty tough, but I think you can do it. Very, very simple. Now that you've learned 3 different note values, 3 different rest values, the music starts getting a little bit more complex.